Well, hello, mamas. Hey, everybody. Jessica Coulter here. Want to talk about role models this week. And mamas, that means you, that means your husband, that means your spouse, that means your partner. I got to tell you, role models start with you, mamas. They really do. So, let's talk about something you role model, which is the value of learning. So, what would you say if you asked your teens, how do I feel about learning? Now, is learning important to me? What would your teens say? I want to know what you think your teen would say. The very first thought that comes into your mind, because whatever that answer is, whatever your teen actually thinks, whatever you think your think teens, whatever you think your teen thinks, is how it's being perceived, true or not. So we're going to talk about that. I also, as we get going, I want to welcome you to my Facebook page, my YouTube channel, and to my Facebook group. So if you're not a part of my group called Teaching Teens to Love Learning, there's a link below in the description for you to join us after the video. So let's talk about this. You've told me what your teens think, or at least what you think your teens think that you think about learning. So this matters. Why? Well, your teen has to care about learning. Your teen has to see the value of it. But if you don't see the value of it, mama, if you think that learning is not important, you think learning algebra is not important, you think that we don't need certain types of science in order to get by day, whatever it might be, do you know those thoughts that you have? And if you share them with your teen, you share them with your family, well, your teen's going to start believing them too. Okay. So it's not just specific classes being maybe pointless or worthless in your eyes. It's also, how do you feel about education? How do you feel about learning? Now, if you are constantly encouraging your teens to love learning, you're encouraging your teens to learn something new every day, they're going to. They're going to look forward to going to school. They're going to be eager to learn something with you by themselves, by reading a book, by trying something out. But I got to tell you, mamas, if your teens don't think you think learning's important, they're not going to think it's important either. So I'll talk about this more and some things that we can do to change this if that's what's happening right now. Before I do, if you're just now joining us, we're live on YouTube, live on Facebook, like we will be at least 3 days a week. So I am the CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring, and I love to talk to you, to your teens, to educators, others who love working with teens like I do and have teens at home, all about school, all about learning. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, so you'll always catch these videos live. All right, so let's talk more about the value of learning and how you role model it. So I got to tell you, mamas, your teens got to care about school. They've got to. Okay, if your teen thinks learning isn't important, whether it's generic, specific, something your teen wants to learn about, something your teen's interested in, or if you just ask them, hey, you want to learn this today, or let's look into this, or let's do some research, and your teen immediately closes off, well, that happens when, say, mom, you don't know something, and your teen asks you a question and you say, I don't know, and then if you follow it up with, I don't care, or why does it matter, or that's not important, well, then your teen's going to start shutting down too. Okay, and that's going to happen in the classroom, that's going to happen at work, it's going to happen whenever your teen has a question. And even worse, eventually, instead of even asking questions, your teen's going to have the thought of, I wonder, and then not even care to find out the answer. And eventually that I wonder won't even happen either. Okay, so definitely questions have answers. You've got to encourage your teen to ask questions. You've got to encourage your teen to find those answers. Because, mom, if you don't know the answer, that's okay. I mean, yeah, I'm a tutor, and yet I don't know everything. I mean, I have students, they ask me questions sometimes, especially if I'm doing content tutoring instead of study tutoring, and they're like, well, how do I do this? And sometimes I don't know. And I tell them I honestly have no idea. And I ask them, hey, you want to look it up? Or if we're in the middle of something else and, we don't have the time to get it done right then and there, I say, well, hey, let's try to get this problem done. And if we've got a couple minutes at the end of our session, let's look it up. So, I'm excited to learn with them, and they know it. So I gotta encourage you, mamas. Giving you lots of tips here, trying to keep it as short and concise and as helpful as possible. But do know, if you're curious, your teens will be curious. If your teens know that you will look up the answers with them, they know that you're willing to learn too, they're going to be willing to learn. And this all happens because education's important at your house, in your family. It's one of your values, and your teens have got to know that. Once they know you care about learning, that it's important to you, that they learn, that you learn, that learning is something we need to do, that it's something that helps us grow, helps us become better, then they will want to learn too. And they'll continue that tradition with their own kids, with their own students, with their own families later on in life. So mamas, remember, value learning, because if you don't, your teens won't. So that's our first lesson, our first idea, the first thing you can role model as a parent. Do know we'll be talking about that more this week. And we will always be talking about studying, about learning, and how to personalize your teens' learning in my Facebook group. So if you're not a member of my group, be sure to click the link in the description, answer a couple questions so you can join us and so you can learn how to personalize your teens' learning. So he'll love to learn by knowing how to learn. So have a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.